Oh, what's good, y'all? Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome and welcome back to Dreamhouse TV. I am your host, Dream, and I'm on a Zoom meeting with someone, you guys, that is going to give us knowledge, give us encouraging words, and help us out, help us out. So with all means necessary, please take over and let the people know who you are.
Hey everyone, my name is Desiree Mittman. I am the owner and founder of Mustard Seed Financial Coaching, where we focus on financial wellness and we deliver it in two different ways. So the first way is through corporate workshops. And then the second way that we deliver financial wellness is through one-on-one coaching or through our online course, which is on demand. So it's at your pace for you to take in this information.
Right. And I'm ready to, take in the knowledge, like we spoke before, and like some of the topics and stuff that we choose to talk about, you guys. This is meant to be talked about, okay? This is something that nobody wants to discuss, but it's meant to be talked about, So I mean, of course, some of the topics that we choose to touch bases on is student loans for sure, financial coaching, and also how important insurance, life insurance really is, for you to have. But we're going to get more into that as well. So I mean, where are you originally from? Let's put them on the map.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in North Carolina in a place called Greensboro. It's a wonderful place. So if you've never been, welcome. Please bring your tourist dollars here. We would greatly appreciate that. It is a city of many universities. So we have about 5 or 6 universities. We have UNC Greensboro or UNCG. We have A&T. We have Bennett College. We have Greensboro College. And I know I am missing one. So great, centrally located within North Carolina. Like I said, great locations. We have all 4 seasons, including, what's going on with the environment. So if you haven't been, welcome, visit me. I'm happy to host you while you are here. There are a lot of great restaurants and the people here are amazing.
Look, right. Okay, might have to put that on the map,
Absolutely.
Look, right. I mean, we love to travel. Who doesn't really want to see the world, Like,
absolutely.
No matter what goes on, it's still beautiful, So yes. So I mean, what made you want to actually pursue financial coaching?
So that's great. That's a great question. And for me personally, my journey along financial coaching, it began in 3 different places that may be familiar to you and our viewers as well. Those 3 places were, first and foremost, I was just feeling overwhelmed because at that point in time, I had amassed well into the 6 figures. Yes, 6 figures worth of debt. And yes, most of my debt was related to student loans, but definitely make no mistake, department store loans or department store cards, credit cards, car loans, personal notes, all of those were my friends. And those are friends, in all honesty, they are not helping you out in the long run. So that was 1. And then 2, I was feeling embarrassed because I knew better. I had earned at that point in time 2 degrees from North Carolina State University. So, go Pack on that. And those degrees were in accounting and finance, dealing with numbers, dealing with money. And then I also had an MBA from Wake Forest. So go Deeks, I represent the ACC. When I really hit rock bottom, at that time, I had, I want to say, about 10 years worth of financial services experience working for one of the largest banks globally. So I did know better. And even though I knew better in the environment that I was in, I was still embarrassed. And then the third thing was I felt very alone. I felt like this was only happening to me. I was the only one that was just struggling with this debt, with this like albatross around my neck, and that no one else could see like how heavy of a burden it was. I distinctly remember hitting rock bottom. And I was sitting on the floor in my kitchen with my back against my refrigerator, which was black. And I just remember just crying, just frustrated, because while my closet could boast a lot of impressive brand names, and my kitchen was spotless. And the reason why my kitchen was spotless was because I ate out all the time. I was still on that floor crying. And I kept asking myself, how? How could I get to this point? I could not figure out where at the end of the day, end of the month, where all my money went. And I didn't realize that I had constantly been overdrawing my account in an effort to please the Joneses. Dream, there's no J in my name, not a one. So I couldn't find out, like, by the end of the year, where did all my money go? I made all this money and I had nothing to show for it, nothing to account for it. So I made a promise to myself in that moment while I was crying. And I promised myself I would never be here again. So that really started me along my journey of financial freedom. And the commitment that I made to myself is that I would no longer deny my way out of debt. I would no longer ignore my way out of debt. I would no longer wish my way out of debt. And I definitely wasn't going to cry my way out of debt. And so I found out that the only way to really move myself out of debt was to learn and earn my way out. And in 6 shortly years later, that's exactly what I did. I began sowing all these seeds, mustard seed, right? Sowing all these seeds through strategies, tools, tricks, as well as systems that I knew worked. And so throughout this entire process, I formulated a plan that combined everything that I learned throughout the entire journey, my money journey, and created this blueprint. And I put that blueprint in a class, like I told you at the top, where I have this on-demand class. And that class is called Women Are Worthy of Wealth, the Blueprint to Money Mind Shift. So my plan not only set me up for financial freedom, it also positioned me and put a spark in me to want to help other women. And that's a lot of what we focus in on with Mustard Seed, especially with my one-to-one coaching, where I help professional women 30 to 50 who are feeling overwhelmed or stressed around their money to achieve financial confidence, create a positive money mindset, and then boost their overall net worth. And so throughout that journey, not just to talk about myself, because it's not just about me, it's about how I can help others through what I went through, so that people don't have to go along that same journey. They don't have to fall in the same pitfalls that I fell into. They can be in a position where they can maneuver them so that they can advance themselves. So it doesn't take them 6 years. It can take them 4, it can take them 2, it can take them 1. And I've been gracious enough to be able at this point in time to help 200 other women do the same thing. And so you may be like, oh, well, that may not be me. Trust, it is. And this is the reason why I say it. And I say it all for 3 things. One of my clients, she was a single mom working in the education industry, and she has 2 kids. And over a 3-month period, we were able to put a system together, work that system, where she paid off $5,000 worth of debt, and she was able to create an emergency fund of $1,000. So that's 1. 2, over a year's period of time coaching with this C-suite mom and her family, we were able to pay over well into 6 figures worth of debt, create a financial strategic plan for her and her family where she could buy a rental property, 1 rental property every 2 years, so she can leave a legacy behind for her kids. And then 3, personally for myself, I was able to pay off over $250,000 of both personal and business debt. So it can be done. So I turned that feeling of being overwhelmed, embarrassed, and defeated into financial freedom and into success. And I've been able to help, and I'm happy that I've been able to help women do the same thing, from the C-suite to the entrepreneur to the single mom.
For you starting off, like you said, it could be overwhelming and that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
But what made you not want to give up?
It was, so I don't have asthma, but I do have friends that have asthma. And it felt like, and this is just me, and it's different for everybody, but for me, I felt like I couldn't breathe because of the amount of debt that I had. And you could see the stress of carrying around that debt. Now, I put on a smile, especially when I'm at work. I put on a smile, try to be happy. I try to be extremely optimistic. But it was just constantly in the back of my head was, I am, and this is a lie that I would tell myself, and maybe this is a lie that you're telling yourself as well. I can't move forward because I have this debt. I can't do fill in the blank because I have this debt. And I was tired of telling myself that. And so I had to get over that, and I had to work through it because of the lies that I was telling myself and that I was believing as a result of that. That and the fact that I think about, not to get too religious, but I'll get spiritual for a minute. That I serve a God that is full of abundance, and he would not want me to put a limit on what he could do in my life because I was not listening to his calling that he has for me, and just saying, you know what, I'm just going to crumble, under this debt and not move forward with what, God, what you have for me to do. And that would be a disservice to him. And that would be a disservice to the people who I know I can help along the way.
Look, right. And, it always helping someone else, it comes
Absolutely.
back, it comes back. Like when you least expect it, like, okay, like I really wasn't expecting this to come like this, but without me even having to say anything, it came anyway. That's because God already knew, like, and I said a whole lot of people before you even was here, what I'm saying? God already had a plan that, and we figure out the hard way or the easy way. Sometimes we get in our head and, we hard headed, that type of thing like that. But I mean, when it's all said and done, when he's ready to pull you out, he's going to pull you out. And
absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, let's get on some of these topics. Like for emergency funds, how big do you think they should be as for, like for on the side?
I think that's a great question. And I know if you were like to Google that, Google will provide you with an answer that I feel is like a little too simple and doesn't give you the context and a system to work, right? Because we're all about systems, right? What Google will say is in normal times, it's good to have 3 to 6 months. If we're going through tough times like some of us may be going through, especially as we're going with these inflation and higher prices with almost everything right now, Google may say it's a year. And I'm not discrediting Google on what they're saying, but a year of what, right? And so I think we have to take that what and unpack that what. And part of unpacking that what is knowing your numbers. And so if you're looking at, say, that 3 to 6 month range, does that include everything that you spend, or does that include just your needs? And so you would have to ask yourself, what are you comfortable with? Because my comfort level, Dream, is going to be different from your comfort level. My comfort level could be, I just need the bare bones. I just need the needs, which is housing, so my mortgage and or rent, food, and that's like me cooking food, which, heaven help us all on that one. Which would also mean that we need some medical in there in case you need to go to the doctor. So medical as well. I need something for transportation, and I would need the bare minimum as it relates to like clothing and any other necessities. So that would be like the bare minimum. And that for some, that may be, woo, that sounds really restrictive. That sounds like I'm doing nothing. I'm like, okay, well, maybe your monthly, as you're looking at your 3 to 6 months, maybe it includes saving for going out to eat one to 2 nights a week. Maybe it can also include, maybe one luxury item here, one luxury item there. Whatever it is that you're comfortable with, that's what you should take a look at. But in order to get there, you have to know what your numbers are. You have to know what you're spending on a monthly basis. And so that's something that we don't talk about. Like if I were to walk up to someone randomly on the street and just be like, okay, so how much, I need a dollar amount. How much would you need to save in order for you to have 6 months worth of an emergency fund? And most people would be like, you know, maybe 10,000. I don't know, maybe a
Right.
little less. So for me, that number is $10,800. $10,800.
That's a good
And
number.
that's for 3 months, right? And so I'm good with having that in reserves for 3 months. Like I'm good. For other people, it may mean more. And that includes me going out. That includes me not really limiting how I'm living now, which is going out every Friday with my sister to a local restaurant here in Greensboro and trying something new. Me randomly going out to lunch throughout the week, me having lunch or dinner once a month with my family, extended family. So I'm still being able to live versus that first example that I gave you. So knowing your numbers is so critical. Once you know your numbers, it's so much easier to say, well, what are you comfortable with? And so Dream, I'll ask you, what would you be comfortable with? Would you be comfortable with 3 months stocked? Would you be comfortable with 6 months stocked? Would you be comfortable with the year? And it's different, right?
Yeah, it is different. Totally different. Because I mean, just in that time period, it's just like, a whole lot can, so I mean, yeah, stay within the budget. Like budget
Stay within the budget. So
yeah.
it's so simple, but it's not easy.
True.
So those two things are different, right? Like it's really simple to say, oh, my monthly budget is, and I'll just pick a number. It is one of my numbers, but it's a number that includes a lot of other things. My monthly number for like passive income that I'm building towards is $4,875 on a monthly basis. And be like, that's my number. So that's the number that I'm looking forward to, and that number gives me latitude to save so that I can invest. So it gives me investing. It gives me latitude to go out and eat 3 to 4 times a week if I want. It gives me latitude to take an extended vacation, like an extended weekend vacation throughout the month, versus my number that is my needs number, that just like, this is me not going out, this is me cooking, this is me looking at the prices on everything that I spend. That number is $3,600 on a monthly basis. So you see the difference. Like I have a number that's 36, that meets all my needs.
Right.
Number 4875, that gives me a lot more latitude. It's almost, almost $1,000 and some dollars more. It gives me a lot more latitude to do a lot more things throughout the month.
True. Yep. So I mean, yeah, you got it. You got it. It's the knowledge, y'all. Like I told you guys, I was gonna be learning in the process. Okay, so look, y'all not the only one. Okay, because I'm sitting here like I'm taking it all in. Okay, I'm taking it all in. So yes. I mean, when it comes down to like you said, investing, like prioritize. Boom. There we go. Like the savings and the invest.
So that's a great question. So it's I can give you a blanket answer and then I'll say it depends, right? So I come from a different school of thought as it relates to dealing with your spending plan. And I say spending because some people may have this visceral reaction as it relates to me saying budget, like, oh no, I don't want a budget. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Well, you're going to be spending money, so we can just call this your spending plan. So whatever word works for you, use it and move on. So for your spending plan, my school of thought is this: depending on who it is that I'm coaching or providing some recommendations for, I want to know what their ultimate why is. And then once I know what their ultimate why is, then I'll work backwards until I understand where they are now. So I'm not trying to dodge your question. I'm going to get there. So if their ultimate why is, like for one of my clients, she wanted to be in a position to leave a meaningful legacy behind for her kids. She had 3 kids. She wanted to leave a meaningful legacy behind for her kids so that each of her kids had at least one rental house when she passed, right? Preferably more, preferably 3 to 5, but at least 1. And I'm like, okay, so we understanding this is where you want to start from an investment perspective. And investing doesn't always have to be the market. Investing can be any number of things. For her, it was real estate. And that really resonates with me because I'm a real estate investor. And so before we could get to that point of let's create that financial strategic plan so that you could be in a position where you have enough cash flow on an annual basis, that you're stocking that away, that you can buy a house, one house every 2 years. Let's look at where you are now. So we know where you want to get to. Let's look at where you are now. Okay. You have some significant debts. So we could do one of 2 things. We could either accelerate getting rid of your debts. And then once we're done that, then you'll be in a better position to accelerate saving enough money so that you can buy all of these houses for your portfolio. Or we can divide it up. We can look at setting aside a certain portion to pay down your debt. Say you're living off of 50% of what you take home. We're going to use 30% for debt and then 20% for saving and investing. That was also an option. So there's so many different ways that you can get to where you ultimately want to be. It just depends on ultimately what's your ultimate goal, one, and then what is your most pressing need. So I'll speak about myself in this instant. So for me, my most pressing need when I was going through my journey was to get rid of my debt. And as I mentioned before, the reasons why I wanted to get rid of my debt was it was too heavy of a burden. I felt like I couldn't breathe, I felt like I couldn't move forward as a result of me having this debt on. And that may be you. I felt like when I looked at my pay stub at the end of each year, as I'm doing my taxes, and I'm looking at the number and I'm like, man, that's a pretty nice number. The taxes, taxes are taxes.
Right.
But then I look at that number and then I look at my bank statement and the number of what they said they paid me, my job paid me for the year, that big number, that was nowhere close to what I saw in my bank account. Now I saw a small fraction, emphasis on the fraction part, in my bank account. And so I'm wondering, like, where did all my money go? So that's where I started personally, because I was like, this is, for me, this is frustrating. This is frustrating. It's overwhelming. This is embarrassing. This is being defeatist for me. And I need to get out of this mindset. So for me, it was massively attacking my debt to the point where, and this is where I encourage everyone to do as well, tell people around you what it is you're focused on doing. If your focus is on getting rid of debt, let them know, hey, family, you can even do a family meeting. I know some family meetings aren't always fun, but this one can be fun. Be like, hey, family, I really appreciate you, coming over here. We just have one thing that we need to talk about, unless anybody else has anything else they want to talk about. So this year, I am going to become debt-free. I want to let you know that as we go into all of these holiday seasons that are coming up. Christmas is coming. We're going to think about, baby Jesus this year, so you're not going to get a gift. Or I can make you something because I'm getting out of debt. That is my singular focus. I'm getting out of debt. Friends, hey, it's been great. I know we go out like 2-3 times a week. Why don't we Netflix it? Somebody can bring popcorn. We can hang out at each other's house, save some money. We don't always have to go out and eat, because that's easily in this environment, $30, $40. And just let your people around you know That's what you're focused in on. And the same thing for like if you're investing in real estate. Be like, hey fam, I'm gonna get started investing in real estate. So if you know of anybody that is looking to get rid of a house, looking for some property, what have you, I'm going along that path, and I would like for you to mention that you have someone that's investing in real estate, or interested in real estate. So those people that are around you, they will be happy to remind you and keep you accountable as you make that pathway, or as you are along your journey. So let me circle back to what should you be saving, right? From a percentage. It depends.
Yeah, that's and it all goes
It depends.
because it all goes back to knowing what you like you said, you have your 50% that goes toward, what I'm saying, like living, you have to, of course, you got to pay the bills. You can't live free unless you live in the box inside the and you got to move constantly with that. So it's just, I don't know. But yeah, so man.
And then let me add one other thing, Dream, to that. So from an investing perspective, so there are so many different instruments that you could invest in that a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people just think about things that are talked about mass media wise. So like the stock market, or I know I talk about real estate because I am a real estate investor, or they invest in the real estate. You can invest in so many different things. I actually one of my tennis pros, he has invested because he did this when he was young in comic books. And I know some people may be scratching their head. They're like, comic books? You would be surprised what some of these original comic books that are in really, really good condition could go for. So that, I mean, he has a really good size comic book collection that is worth real money. You could also invest in other people. You can invest in small businesses. There are so many different ways that you can invest that is not just the stock market. So I would say look at what you're currently connected to, and because when you invest in something, it's going to take time, and you want to dedicate that time to something that you're passionate about and that you actually want to spend time researching on and then going deep in.
Right. So yeah, man, that's really sitting down and really thinking about, what I'm saying, like right now, like putting a goal. It's like setting a goal for yourself for, what I'm saying. And it's gonna say step by step.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you craving IHOP and the Waffle House and stuff, but at the same time, remember you're trying to come out of debt. You're trying to. So some things that you never put aside. So that's understanding that for sure. With let's go to the student loans. Basically, a lot of people want to know: is it worth spending the money to go to college?
So probably get tired of me saying this. It depends. There are a lot of people, and so look, I have 3 degrees. So I feel well educated, and I could talk about this. College is not for everybody. That may be controversial, and I'm okay with that. There are really good trades where they make real money, just like people that went to college. And they save themselves on that burden like I had with college debt. Now, I don't regret going to college, for any of my degrees, because it helped me get to where I am now, and it's allowed me to be able to help and serve so many other people. But college isn't for everybody, and that's okay. We still have trades in this country that are needed. Like when my car breaks down, guess what Desiree cannot do? I can't fix my car. So I'm going to go to someone that is their trade that can fix their car. Another thing, fixing up a house. I can do a lot of things when it comes to fixing up a house, mainly on the financial side of things. I really don't, swinging a hammer and ripping up carpet. I like to watch. And then I'm ready to leave. So that's just me personally. However, when it comes to, say, like the plumbing, or if we need to rewire the house from an electrical perspective, I can't do any of that. So I call up a tradesperson and say, hey, I need like the plumbing redone in this bathroom, or hey, the wiring in this house, which is actually going on with a house that I was part of a purchase of in June of this year, the wiring of the house was aluminum. That's not up to code. So we have to get the house rewired. And so I can't do that. I wouldn't even know where to start. So if you're feeling the pressure to take that college route, my thing would be, and parents hear me out, my thing would be is sit down with your child and ask them, what do they plan to get out of that college experience? Because if you're not paying for it full outright, somebody has to foot the bill at the end of the day. Whether you graduate or not, if you attended class, you're going to owe them money. And so you want to make sure that you're going to get that really nice return on your investment. So you want to be sure that for whatever profession you're looking into, you know what it is from a numbers perspective before you actually go in. So let me give you an example. I was listening to this radio show, and they had this teacher that went to Michigan, University of Michigan. She was from Florida, went to University of Michigan, graduated with $300,000 plus of student loan debt, moved back to Florida to become a teacher. There's no offense to teachers. I think you guys do a wonderful job. You have a crazy, crazy hard job. And my hats are off to you, especially since my dad is a teacher. I have aunts that are teachers, and then my younger sister is an elementary school counselor. So my hat is off to you. However, I'm scratching my head why you went to Michigan to get an education to be a teacher, even though you went back to Florida, and now you owe $300,000 worth of debt. And the starting salary at that point in time, when I was listening to this radio show, was what, $35,000 for a teacher? So think about that. You don't get to put all that $35,000 towards that student loan debt, because you got to live, you got to eat, you got to get to work. So at the end of the day, you may have, I mean, if she's lucky, $100 to $200 a month stashed away, if she's lucky. So that's roughly, we'll be pessimistic, $1,200 to put towards her $300,000 plus student loan debt. Those numbers don't work. So to your original question, know what it is that you're interested in, and look, do the legwork. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and I had a great opportunity when I was in high school, right? Before I'm really spending real dollars, before I was in high school, to join an organization called Law Explorers, where we got to interview different lawyers on their path to becoming a lawyer, what law school they went to, how much money it was, how much money they made. And throughout that process, I decided I wasn't going to be a lawyer, mainly because if I had to represent someone and they actually did it, I wouldn't want to tell them, which, I would get disbarred. So long story short, couldn't do that, right? Clearly, right? Because then I would be out of a job and out of, right?
You're right.
So, right. So I would say we have so many different tools and resources at our disposal now. LinkedIn is wonderful. Even if you're in high school, you can reach out, put in any profession that you want. There is probably somebody on LinkedIn, almost guaranteed, that you can reach out to them and say, hey, my name is such and such. I go to XYZ school, and I would love 20 minutes of your time to talk about your career path. Most people are going to say yes, because they want to give back to the next generation. That and the fact a lot of people just love to hear themselves talk. So there's that as well.
Right. That's a good note. Cause you know, I'm on LinkedIn, but it's just like, you know, sometimes, yeah, I'd rather more like, hey, you know, Instagram, Facebook, you know, all of that. I will hit you up any day. But it's like, okay, but I might just have to do that. I will put that into thought. I'll put that into thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I mean, now that we're talking about as for you know, people going into debt with the student loans, what are loans basically are to be used for?
What do you mean? What are student loans to be used for?
Yes, for the student loans, like what are top priority things that they should really use the student loans for?
Got you. So if you are going to get student loans, know your numbers. I mean, it got simple, but not necessarily easy, right? So a lot of the common themes here is, you know, don't be like me. Don't be like me. When you see, oh, well, Desiree, you can get this amount right here. Let me do this. This amount right here, this will cover you for all your books, room, board, tuition, and all this. Then we can give you this amount right here, you know, in case something happens, you want to occasionally go out off campus for lunch or dinner. Yeah, don't be like me. Don't be like, oh, wait, I can borrow up to this full amount. So yeah, I mean, right, I'm gonna borrow the full amount. Great story for you. One of my friends, he was in the grocery store with, how old was she? Oh, she's like 5 or 6 years old. His stepdaughter, and he was getting money back from the machine after you pay the pen machine. And his daughter saw all the options on there. You know, it was $20, $40, $100, and $200. And so he selected 20. And she was like, Daddy, like, why didn't you select 200? He was like, well, in order for me to pull $200 out, you need to make sure that you have $200 in there. She was like, no, it says $200. $200 is more than 20, right? I mean, he was like, that is correct. $200 is more than 20. But if you have to have $200 there in order to get $200 out. And she just looked at him like he was the dumbest person. Do you not understand that $200, like, she's asking if you want $200. Like, you just say yes to the $200 because it's more than $20. I don't know about you, Daddy. It's just 200 is more than 20. I don't know why you would want $20 when you can have 200. And so that thought process, that was me. I'm like, I could use the full student loan amount. Sure, that's what I need. They were like, well, you got this nice refund check. Ooh, that's great. I got a refund check. I didn't put anything in the system and it's my money. So I had plenty of dinners at the Chinese food place right across the street from Haven Ferry at NC State, where I'm like, oh, you know what? I can't go to the cafeteria. It's too far of a walk, but I can walk across the street and get me some, some mixed vegetables with beef. So yeah, so don't be like me on that. Figure out how much it truly costs. Then sit down with your parents, or if you feel like your parents may not be the right person, sit down with a trusted advisor or coach, and go through truly how much it costs and then how much you would need on a monthly basis to live off of. Now, if you're fortunate enough that your parents can send you some money, that's your budget. That's how much you have to spend for whatever time frame that they're giving you money, if it's on a monthly basis or if it's just for that semester. You don't want to be in a position, or I should say it's tougher if you are in a position where when you get out of school and you're like, man, that was great. And then you're living life. And then all of a sudden, your student loan service provider either gives you a call, more than likely it's days time, they'll send you a letter in the mail and you're like, congratulations on graduating. We're so happy and proud for you. Now, what's going to happen in a couple of months? You're going to start owing us all this money. And you're like, well, hold on one second. I don't remember spending that money. And then all of those dinners where I went to, I don't even remember what the Chinese place was, but when I went to the Chinese store, or I was like, you know what, I could go to Starbucks. Ugh, I've had a hard morning. I had an 8 o'clock class. All of those times, they've just gone out of your mind, and you're literally left with a bill that you have to pay. So my recommendation would be figure out how much you truly need and just stay within your means. How crazy is that? Stay within your means off of that. And I would say this, and this may not be fair, but I felt like I had a lot more time when I was in college than I do now, that I could have done a better job of finding different ways to make money. Yes, I was a student athlete, but there were still some days when I was in off season that I could have worked 1 to 2 days somewhere to make money to help offset that debt. The worst thing that happens is you get this unexpected bill and you forget how much money you actually spent that's now justifying that bill.
Right, that part. Now let's talk about these bills that can't be paid by the person that actually created them. You guys, do not leave us. Do not leave us, you guys, okay? Don't leave us. We're gonna get down to it, okay? I saved it for last. I tried to spare us as long as I could, you guys, but the next topic is life insurance.
Yeah.
Brace yourself, you guys. Brace yourself. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Go get you a drink of water or something. You guys come back. Make sure you come back, okay? So let's get to it. Okay. So life insurance, right? Why is it important to have life insurance?
So I'll give you a story. There was a member of my family who passed. It was actually her husband who passed. And I remember going to the funeral, nicely done, and sitting there, and we were outside, and I saw her, and I gave her a hug, and she broke down. And I didn't realize, it was her husband, so there's a lot of that also. But what I didn't realize until much later on was he had no life insurance. He had a massive heart attack. He was in his 40s. Funerals aren't free. I don't know if somebody told you that. They lied if they did. Funerals are not free. They cost thousands. They can cost thousands of dollars to go through the entire process. And to be on the receiving end where you think you're covered, and then you get a rude awakening that, once everything is said and done, you now have a $20,000 to $30,000 bill that needs to be paid. You're now looking to your family and asking, hey, family, can you help me out? And that's real life. Now, mind you, let's put it into a different perspective. If he had a life insurance policy, and most life insurance policies, if you get term life, it doesn't cost much. And my recommendation would be to get term life that is not attached to your company, because you don't know how long your company is going to be there or how long you will be with your company. And typically with a lot of these policies that are tied to your company, once you leave, that policy may be terminated pretty quickly. So my recommendation would be to go out to the market and find term. I believe in term, but there are, depending on what your situation is, depends, right? There are other options, life insurance options for you that may be better for you depending on what your end goals are and what your financial position is, but we'll just stick to term for right now. So for a term life policy for, $15, $30 a month, he could have been covered. $15 to $30, that's a meal, right? A meal for 2 people. one meal a month, one to two people meal a month. He could have been covered for easily $100,000. And with him passing, massive heart attack out of nowhere in his 40s, she could have been well taken care of, didn't need to worry about paying that bill, asking family for money for something that's really simple. I'll give you another example. I have my grandfather passed. And when my grandfather passed, it was my aunt wanted him to be cremated because she was like, that's what he always wanted. What he said, that's what he always wanted. My mom was like, well, no, my grandfather, he wanted to be buried. That's what he always wanted. My mom was like, well, we're going to cremate him because there's a cost difference that between those two. And if you want to contribute, that would be great. We can do what you say he wanted, although I think he wanted to be cremated. We can do that and we can go down that path. But that my aunt didn't want to bring up any money. She was like, well, I don't have any money. My mom was like, well, he's going to be cremated because of the cost associated with it. And look, I don't want to like me bring my family drama into this. It's cremating or burial, doesn't matter. Either option costs money. One costs a lot more money. Being buried costs a lot more money than being cremated. So all of this goes to say is that when it comes to end of life, there are serious conversations that we need to be having that we honestly are not having. And it goes back to having those hard, honest conversations and knowing the numbers, knowing your numbers. So my recommendation when it comes to life insurance or even just anything as it relates to end of life is get a notebook and have all of your information in that notebook. Kind of like you're going back to school and you're putting your stuff, you have 7 different classes and you want to divide that notebook up into like 7 different sections, if you will. And so I'll give you some examples of where I think or what I think you should put in that notebook. The first thing that I think you should put in that notebook is instructions to all of your digital assets. And that would include where you have bank accounts at, if you have safety deposit boxes, what your username is, what your password is. If you don't feel comfortable putting that information, like printing that information out and putting it into a notebook where you hide it in your desk or somewhere else in your house, then second point that I think you should have is put that information with an attorney, and that attorney can also hold your last will and testament. The attorney also could hold your revocable living trust. That attorney also could hold what all you want your beneficiaries to be designated as it relates to your non-probate assets. That same attorney could also hold your durable power of attorney or anything as it relates to power of attorney from a medical perspective as well. The other things that I think you should have in this notebook include a living will, your life insurance for life insurance policies, because it's needed in the event that your demise, that you have this information readily available. People know where it is and they know what to do. Why? Because it's going to eliminate conflict. It's already going to be a stressful time because someone has passed.
Right.
And I would say we want to be in the moment of that and not thinking about how are we going to pay for fill in the blank. No, everything's already set out for you. Here's the notebook. Here's where the deeds are to the house, where the title is to the cars, to the boats, whatever have you. All of that is in one place for people to really know what it is that you wanted. You can even include your funeral instructions in there if you want, and what your burial arrangements are, what you want those to be, so that people can, it's clearly stated, you already have the funds for it. I'm not saying that you have to prepay for it. I'm not in favor of that. I think all of that can be handled from a life insurance policy. And you want to be in a position where, so I'll go back to like the beneficiary designations. Like you want to be in a position that if you do have young ones, that people know what it is that you want to do with your kids. Like who's going to take care of your kids? Let's not leave it up to chance. Or worse, leave it up to the courts where you live for them to decide. Because one of the worst things that could happen, just like with my cousin and her husband passing, is you die without, one, life insurance, expensive, right? Painful and expensive. Two, without a will. So if you have assets, it's going to have to go through probate, and that can take an extremely long time. And in certain instances of probate, they may assign that one sibling that hasn't talked to your parents or your mom within the past 10 years. They may assign that sibling as being the administrator of the will. And that's not what you want. So you want to have what you want for your stuff. You want to be in control of what happens to that. How is it disseminated? You don't want that to be in the control of, someone that's been appointed by the court.
Right. Like, I mean, because if you don't want the family fighting and trying to figure out who's going to take where, who's going to take your good hats and, your good shoes that you got left, like make sure that you guys have that, have it somewhere. Like she said, like even when it comes down to the lawyer and stuff like that as well, too, like take that into consideration as well, too, because like she said, when it's all said and done, I mean, you want to make sure that you go out the way that you want to go and they can actually put you out that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, you don't want to end up cremated and you didn't want to be cremated. So it's just, like just be prepared for it, be prepared. But you also mentioned about term. So what's the difference between term and permanent insurance?
So term and whole life. So term is for a specific term, a specific number. So it has basically an expiration date. So if you have, say, like a 50-year term life, then it's good for 50 years. And then you hope that you demise within that 50-year time frame if you don't have your financials set up in such a way. But in the event, well, let's say in the event that you pass within that 50-year time frame, then whatever coverage you had, that's going to be, your loved ones, whoever you put as a beneficiary of your policy, they will get those funds. Now, if you pass outside of that, say you pass year 55 and you don't have another policy and or passive income of some kind to cover your demise, then your policy is expired. There's nothing they can do for you. They appreciate your funds throughout the entire process of those 50 years. So that's term. Now, whole life covers your whole life so long as you keep paying your premium. And typically the premium is what you pay either on a monthly basis or on an annual basis, at monthly, quarterly, or annually, however you have it set up with your insurance provider. That is typically a lot more expensive than term life is, because term is for a certain number of years, whereas whole life is for your entire life.
Right. Okay, so I mean, yeah, because it wasn't just a question for me. It was more like, like a question just in case. Like, oh, well, I have term on the job. What that mean? That means that's what that is. So stay with it unless you choose to switch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So also I looked on your page as well, your Instagram page, and I saw there's a lot of sayings on Instagram as well. So I picked out a few of them, not too many of them, but I want to know exactly what did you take from the saying that was posted as well. And one of them is everything you can imagine is real.
Oh, I love that one. Okay. So I'll tell a story. I like to tell stories, clearly.
It's cool.
So one of the things that I imagine with Mustard Seed Financial Coaching is that I am in a position to serve others so that they could live a life of abundance as a result of being financially free. So that's the world I imagine. So, and that's a pretty lofty imagination. And so what I take away from that is, we'll take the Wright brothers. They have imagined a world where people can fly. Like, how crazy is, I mean, I still think it's crazy that, you know, we can fly, that machine metal keeps us up in the air. But they thought about that, and they built a plane. I wouldn't ride in it because if you haven't seen it, that thing looks dangerous. But they built a plane, and the world that they imagined was having people be transported via air to different destinations, whether it's short distance, long distance. But that's the world that they have imagined. You also have people that have imagined worlds where, let me give you another example. I'll give you a sports example. So I'm a fan of tennis. I'm also a fan of track and field, and I never would have thought that over a span of, I want to say, 3 Olympics or so, you had, actually, you know what? I'll do a different example with a thing Moo, and I actually saw her in person run at the Armory in New York, a handful of years ago. And I never would have imagined that someone can be so dominant in their event. So she runs the 800. That's what she's known for, but she can also run a 400, and she's been on the Olympic, I want to say the Olympic 4x4 as well. So I never would have thought and imagined that someone would have the speed to be so effective in the 400 and just be purely dominant in the 800. I want to say for the past 1 to 2 years, and all of the major races that she's run, she hasn't lost. And that includes being in the Olympics, which is crazy because she's like 19 years old. So think of the things that like people have imagined that we take for granted for now. Like what we're doing now, we're on Zoom. Would you have imagined a world when we were growing up that we could have face-to-face conversations and it be so clear and not be in the same room with each other?
Right.
Virtually through the internet.
Literally,
right?
like, never would imagine that. Yeah.
So my wish, my challenge to you all is what are you imagining for the world? What do you have inside you that needs to come out and shine on other people in the world? I told you what my world is and what I imagine through helping mainly women become more financially confident, have a positive money mindset, and be able to build a meaningful and meaningful legacy that they can leave behind, so that they can be in a position to be financially free to live a life of abundance. That's the world I imagine. And I just imagine planting all these seeds and watching them grow, obviously nurturing them and watching them grow and seeing how they impact the world around us. So what are you imagining?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, y'all gonna have to sit back and think about that one, okay? Like really, really. And then once it comes to you, write it down. Write it down, make it plain, and watch it like just kind of unfold. Like, put it somewhere, hang it on the wall, and leave it there. Don't even worry about it. It's just the fact that you wrote it down and you made it plain on exactly what it is that you wanted. Like that's called manifesting, and you don't understand. Like
Absolutely.
that's it's powerful. It's something real powerful. So it's another one too as well. It says learning is a weightless treasure you can always carry easily.
Absolutely. So I will ping pong that back to you. So in our conversation, what have you learned? And is there anything out of our conversation that you feel like, oh, you know what, this is a golden nugget I can take with me. It's a treasure. I can share it with other people.
For sure, one of them was for sure writing down everything that you pretty much, having directions, basically writing down, like I said, writing down, make it plain, so that way after you're dead and you're gone, they know exactly what to do with you and how to go about it. Another one for sure was basically knowing how to stay in the house sometimes. Don't always be outside. Everybody want to be outside now. Everybody want to be, but no, stay in the house sometimes. No, nothing is wrong. Cooking some noodles up, like she said, Netflix. You already done paid the bill for the month. I mean, you might as well, and then you got to pay rent. So why not enjoy the inside of your house, just for a little while, Now, if you can't cook, I understand, but noodles is easy, it's simple. Fry some eggs, get you some rice, something real simple for you, yes. And also knowing that, that basically when it comes down to college, like you said, it's not meant for everyone. And not only that, but like you said, don't be the one who's like, oh, I can get the most, like this is the most I can get. No, no, sometimes you gotta understand, like, okay, it's gonna come back for you, okay? It's gonna come back for you. So like you have to know that, okay, this is for my books, and I know that this is all I need, like this is what I need help on. The food and stuff is gonna come, you always got mom and daddy. Sometimes, especially if you're close, you don't have to even worry about it. Just go ahead and make groceries at their house, so. And that's something that a whole lot of college
students. You can also wash your clothes at their house too. Save your quarters. Or on your card. I know it's on the card now.
I know, right. So it's just like, like knowing when to say no, knowing when to say, okay, not tonight, I can't go out tonight.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to do. Knowing how to put money on the side and don't touch it.
Yes.
Because that's right. Because that's, man, we know it's right there. So we like, but
there's so many. Okay, so I will tell you one trick to that. Find an online bank where it's going to take them 2 to 3 days to get your money back to you. Like, it's like if you need to make a withdrawal, I'll be like, yeah, we're happy to help you with that withdrawal. It's going to take 72 hours to get it to you. That will force you, one, it's easier to save, right? Especially if you have it on auto draft from your paycheck, auto draft it there. And then if you're like, you know what, I want to buy this. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy this. But the money's coming from this other bank account. Okay, wait. It's not, I'm not going to have, okay, I don't have the money to buy that now, but I have the money in 2 to 3 days. It's going to force you to think, come day 2, do I really want this? Nah, I don't. No, it's too much of a hassle. So anything that requires work is going to require you to think, should I really do that? That's why one of the things, like when we go through my program or when I'm doing one-on-one coaching, I tell people, okay, you really want to get in tuned with your spending plan, with your budget for the next 1 to 2 weeks. Write down every single time you spend money, round it up to the nearest dollar. Every single time you spend money, even if it's on auto draft, don't care, write it down. What that's going to force you to do, you will be sitting in the parking lot. And I've had clients say this. They're like, Desiree, I was sitting in the parking lot. And then I said, that dang Desiree, I'm about to go get me something to eat from McDonald's when I already bought groceries. And she wants me to write it down. I'm going to go home. I'm going to make me something to eat because I don't want to write it down. So it's real easy to spend money. It's real easy to swipe and not think about it. But when you have to put money, like I said, going back full circle, you have to put money in a bank account where you're not going to get the money for the next 2 to 3 days. That's how long it takes for them to get the money back to you. You'll think twice about, do I really need this? Do I really want this when you're making purchases out of that account?
True. Yeah. Look, it forces you to think about it again. Okay, like you said, when you have it in your head, it's like cool. It is what it is.
Yes, burning a hole in your pocket.
Like, do I really want it? Right. So it's just like the fact that you don't have it right on hand, it forces you to think twice about it, But oh man, I learned some things today. Also, I also learned that when it comes down to if we ever, meet and that type of thing, that we need to go out to eat.
Absolutely. There's so many. There's so many great restaurants in North Carolina. There's so many great restaurants in Greensboro. I just need to know what is your genre of food, and I can promise you, I'd be like, okay, so this is where we're gonna go. It's gonna be a mom and pop. No offense, you chain restaurants. However, support local. Everybody support local because they put so much more effort into their service, and it means so much more to them. No offense to chain restaurants, but I've had some of the best food, some of the best conversations at mom and pops than I've had at a lot of chain restaurants. So yeah.
Yes, and then they put more love into their food as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I tell you, want to get in, you gonna get in, okay? And like you said, that's some of the best places. Like no offense to the the big restaurants and stuff out there, but look, I done been to some hood stores, okay, that sold plates and stuff, and
that is just amazing. Franny in the back, she making them collars. I know, with that ham hock in there and that little bit of bacon fat in there, bacon grease. Yeah.
Somebody put a little color in them back there in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look, right. Yeah, I'm a soul food fan, so you went straight with it the collard greens, the cornbread, and stuff. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But but I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with me. Actually, teach me a lot of things. And it's gonna be here as well too, because now it's like, dang, so yeah. I got you thinking about a few things, and once good. Well, I can do this a little different, and I think I can, yeah. So, and then you made it simple, and you explained it real well too. Like you made it Barney style for us. That's cool, and I like that. Plain and simple. So, if anybody have any questions, like, hey, as you can tell, she's full of knowledge. She has it. Not only that, but the spirit that she brings. Y'all look at her smile. You guys look at her smile. So I mean, that, and you want to know exactly, what you're getting yourself into before you actually do it. So
absolutely.
Right. So if anything, make sure. Can they is there some kind of way that they can contact you, email you?
For sure. So you can go to my website, Mustard Seed Financial Coaching. Feel free to check out what I have there. You can also find me on Instagram at Money Mindshift Academy. You can direct message me there. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can just put in my name, Desiree Mittman. You can even put in Mustard Seed Financial Coaching and find me there. Those are the best 3 ways to get in contact with me. And feel free to share me with, the companies and corporations that you work with. As I mentioned before at the top of the call, I do corporate workshops, and that's a great way for me to connect with a lot of you and for me to create a safe space so that you can be held accountable from the people that you work with. Now, if there are people that you work with that you really don't like, I totally understand that, but they can still hold you accountable. And then, you know what you can do? You can actually fulfill what it is that you said you're going to do. And just be like, look, I did what I said I was going to do. I don't know about you, but how that works. So feel free to drop me a line, and I look forward to speaking with you all again. And Dream, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak and present on a topic that is near and dear to my heart. As you can tell, I love talking about financial coaching and financial wellness. So thank you once again.
Oh, there's no problem. It's a passion, and when you're excited about it,
absolutely.
Right, other people get excited about it too, so they're just like, look how excited she is about it, So it just makes them smile and feel good as well. Not only that, but like I said, it's giving them knowledge. It's giving them, it's kind of giving y'all the blueprint, okay? So yes, I mean, I appreciate you really, taking the time, like I said, to sit down and talk with me. Not only that, but before you go, I know that you have a lot of quotes and stuff like that that's on your Instagram as well. But I want you to give some encouraging words coming from you to someone that actually want to pursue in financial coaching. Like you said, you also do the real estate investing and stuff like that as well too. So give someone anybody encouraging words that feel like they want to give up.
So this is what I would say. And I've said this before, so I'll reiterate this. You have something in you that needs to be shared with the world. You do. And so my challenge to you is that, look, I get it. There are hard days. There are long days. That doesn't diminish the fact that you have something that you need to share with the world. We need to hear it. We need to see it. And with you not sharing it, you're doing a disservice not only to us, but to yourself. So if you feel like you've been running around the hamster wheel trying to make it, trying to get off, keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. You have this big, hairy, audacious goal. Like, one of my goals is by 2020, I would have been in the position where I can help 1 million women to become financially free, to live a life of abundance. That's a big goal. That's a huge goal. There's 1 million people. That's a lot of people. Why would I stop when I hear my first no? That should just energize you to say, you know what? That no is not yet. That's what that means. So I'm going to move on to the next person. That's exactly what that means. And I'll tell you this. If you feel like, you know what, I don't know if this is really for me or if I should pursue that, get centered. I recommend, so I'm a huge learner and I believe in personal development. So I recommend connecting with people that may not necessarily be in your same industry, but people that are moving somewhere, that are moving places, and form an accountability group. I'm in a lot of accountability groups. And what they'll do, they will encourage you. They will kick your butt when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And you said that this is what you wanted to do. So they're going to give you that push and they're going to keep pushing you because this is what you said you wanted to do. This is part of our job. We're here to push you. We're here to encourage you. We're here so that you can do what you say you want to do. And it's so critical to have that. And I would also say, if you want to stick with just people in your industry, that's good that's good and that's okay. Because when it comes to financial coaching, there are a ton of people that are in this space. That's great. You want to know why? Because there are a ton of people that need our help. So many people need our help. So I don't look at it as I'm competing against someone. My message is curtailed to my market. And maybe your message is curtailed to a different part of the market, a different niche in the market. But we're all trying to serve as many people as we can. And we were here to be made to be of service. So if you're not serving someone, if you're not helping someone, I would say, you know, dig deep and figure out what it is that you want to do. The other thing I would also say would be, it's all on you. If you're feeling like you're on the edge, definitely get in some affirmations. Start reading some affirmations. You could Google positive affirmations, positive speeches. Start letting that pour into you until it helps to change your mind. And you can change your mind in a second so that you can keep moving forward, but never give up. Because what you would hate to have at the end of the day, at the end of your days, is when someone walks past your tombstone and they see your name and they see those 2 dates, you want to make sure that that dash in the middle actually means something. And if you go to your grave with all of these undelivered dreams, those dreams die along with you. They're not passed along to someone else because that's your dream. That may not be somebody else's. So pick yourself up, keep moving forward. You got this.
Like she said, pick yourself up, keep moving forward. Sometimes you want to stay there. When you stay there, it's like you want to try, but at the same time, you keep pushing it back. So don't procrastinate. Like, pick yourself up. Sometimes it get hard, but keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. And at the end of the tunnel, there is a light. And then when you look back, you're going to realize that all that hard work and that effort that you put towards, from the time that you did want to give up, but you didn't. And you just kept going. And now, you know what I'm saying? Now look at you. You can pat yourself on the back now, haters off your shoulder a little bit, because they're going to come. They're going to come. It just let you know that you're doing something right. And you put yourself first. And you're doing it for you because it's something that you really want. So I really appreciate it. Man, the knowledge that was dropped here tonight is for sure to take in. And I hope that it can really help someone else out there as well that's going through the same thing, you guys. If anything, for sure in the description box, I have all of her links for you. Check her out, you guys. Check out her Instagram, also Facebook too, correct?
Yes.
Facebook, LinkedIn, you guys, LinkedIn, like she said, she even helped me out. I might reach out to people myself. So, it's just gonna come in handy. It's gonna come in handy. So we really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Ding! So every time a new video is uploaded, you guys will be the first one to get it. And we're out.
Thank you so much.